Welcome to Saratoga Springs. As you'll notice on my channel, I'm spending a lot more time getting out of my office and studio and getting out into the subdivisions and the neighborhoods where you want to live. And so if Saratoga Springs is something that's on your radar in terms of somewhere you'd like to consider moving to, this video is perfect for you. And in this video, I'm going to give you a full explanation of Saratoga Springs. I'm also going to give you a driving tour, and I'm going to show you some of the top neighborhoods, especially this one in Beacon Point right here in Saratoga Springs. And stay tuned for the end, because in this video, at the end, I'm touring this beautiful 5,300 square foot home that is perfect and ready for somebody to move in. And right now I'm sitting inside of a model home built by Rainy Homes, which happens to be one of the top local home builders in the state of Utah. And they are building homes right here in Beacon Point in Saratoga Springs. And it's this particular model home that is being sold because they have a new model home being built. I wanted to give a tour and share with you in this video, so stay tuned for the end for that. But if we haven't met yet, my name is Steele. I'm a local real estate expert, and I love helping people discover all things Utah, especially Utah real estate. And so if you're considering moving within or to the state of Utah, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. And so hit us up in the comments. Let us know what is interesting to you and what you'd like to see and learn more about, but also reach out to us. You can find our contact information in the description below. Reach out to us, get in touch with us, call us, email us, text us. It doesn't matter. We'd love to have a conversation and see how we can help guide you as well. Now, to start off, I want to talk about Saratoga Springs just a little bit. It is one of the 10 fastest growing cities in the state of Utah. And as we all know, Utah is booming. It is growing incredibly fast. And Saratoga Springs is at the top of that list. In fact, as I look out these windows here, I see so much development, so much new construction. It's absolutely exploding in growth, and you're not going to want to miss what I'm sharing in this video if you're considering making the move to Saratoga Springs, whether you're coming from out of state or not. Okay, and I get to have conversations with people moving from all over the country each and every single day. This is one of those spots that's super appealing for many. And I want to talk just a little bit about why Saratoga Springs is primed for so much development. Number one, there's just more space out here. There's plenty of space to grow. It sits adjacent to Lehigh, which happens to be kind of like the tech center of the corridor along I-15 between Provo and Salt Lake City. We affectionately call this Silicon Slopes. And this is an incredibly developing area with so many businesses, restaurants, residential developments, and everything in between coming as this area matures. This is northern Utah County, and we're pretty much sitting in a perfect location, primed for growth, because we're about equidistant between Provo and Salt Lake City. We're about 35 minutes away from either one of those two cities here in the northern end of Utah County, and this is why this area is growing so much. Now, to cover some of the negatives about this area, it has been one of the most bottlenecked areas in terms of traffic. This is one of the most frustrating things about living in northern Utah County. Because of the massive amount of growth, the infrastructure has not quite kept up. However, this year they started major construction projects in developing the new freeway extending down south from Salt Lake County in the Mountain View corridor, which will also connect over to I-15 in Lehigh and continue out to Eagle Mountain, and ultimately offer so many different options for those that are living in Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs, as well as Lehigh. It also connects really closely to Pioneer Crossing and Pony Express Parkway, so those are different highways that you can get in and out of Saratoga Springs from Eagle Mountain or from American Fork. And this is really important because although it's frustrating to drive around here during rush hour right now, it's going to drastically improve in the coming 18 to 48 months. And I'm really excited for that development because it's kind of the weakest point about living out here in terms of getting in and out of this area during those peak hours. So if you're considering making the move, you might find yourself in a position where if you did so in the coming year, you're going to be much better off because the prices here are absolutely going to shoot up as this area develops more and more. So why is Saratoga Springs growing so rapidly? It's obviously really close to the Salt Lake City International Airport. I would say 35 to 40 minutes away, but with traffic, you could be 45 or 50 minutes away. But when that new developed highway comes into play, it's really going to drastically improve the infrastructure to get into the Salt Lake City International Airport as well as downtown Salt Lake City. So it's really primed for that reason. The other reason why this area is growing so much is because it just has so much open space. And as this continues to develop and continue to grow, other businesses are coming with it. In fact, right here where I'm sitting today, I'm just minutes away from the local Costco and Smith's Marketplace and all the different restaurants that are starting to pop up here in Saratoga Springs. So if you're looking to live here, all of the amenities that you're looking for are going to be, if they're not already, here in Saratoga Springs within just a matter of minutes. Also, in terms of education and schools, we have a middle school just right here in front of the neighborhood, and we have a high school in Westlake just a few miles away. And so all of the different schools that are being built here are being well planned out, as well as the charter schools and private schools. So this area is really primed for growth. And in my opinion, neighborhoods and cities that are growing today versus 30 years ago are much better planned. And we see that as a theme throughout the state of Utah. When you see these developments that have been recently started, they're much more planned out. They have more green open spaces. They have more amenities, more parks, more things that are really attractive to the residents that are looking for not just a community where they can find a home, but a community where they can make home through a development where they can also interact and get to know their neighbors. And it's pretty much safe to say that no matter where you live in the state of Utah, it's the outdoors that are a major draw. And right here in Saratoga Springs, even though we look over to the east and we look across Utah Lake and we see those beautiful sunrises, or we see those glowing Wasatch Mountains in the evening time, we can see those reflections of the Wasatch Mountains in Utah Lake, which is a massive lake, by the way. But the real draw for recreation out here in Saratoga Springs is the fact that you're just about 15 to 20 minutes away from so many different areas where you can go and recreate. For example, if we look directly to the east, we can see the mouth of American Fork Canyon. This is an incredibly popular canyon. And over recent years, as Utah has grown more and more and more, that canyon too has gotten busier and busier and busier. And this can be really frustrating for locals that have lived here our entire lives. To see our canyons get busier and busier and trails are just busier, I totally understand. But if you just go another 20 or 30 minutes away, you're likely going to find those trails and those recreational opportunities that are far less crowded. So is Saratoga Springs a great place to live if you're trying to be close to pretty much everything? Yes, it's perfectly centered in between Salt Lake City and Provo. The airport is close by. In fact, the Provo Regional Airport is actually really close as well. And that airport is actually better to fly in and out of for a really low rate if you're traveling to cities that aren't all that far away. Okay, so that's enough about Saratoga Springs. Now let's talk about this development within Saratoga Springs called Beacon Point. Okay, so Beacon Point is one of the top developments happening right here in Saratoga Springs. It's positioned just west of Redwood Road, and it is just south of the major commercial developments happening just to the north of us right here. So Beacon Point is a really fast growing development in its early stages. In fact, phase 1 is just now completing and it's moving into phase 2, and there are many more phases to come. And this development will ultimately have about 16,000 homes. And so when you think about the big picture in terms of getting into a development early as opposed to later, Beacon Point is primed for that reason, because this development is definitely in its early stages, and it shows because as you drive into the main street coming in here, the center point of this development is a new temple built by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And a lot of new developments that are happening throughout the state of Utah are highlighting a temple in their community. This is normal here in Utah. I understand fully that it's not very normal outside of the state of Utah, but here in Utah, it's pretty normal. And it actually drives up real estate prices as those developments continue to mature. And on that topic, I want to highlight that this is the development in Utah County that is most similar to that of Daybreak up in Salt Lake County. So for many people that want to live in a neighborhood, a master planned community like Daybreak up in South Jordan, this is the Daybreak of Utah County. And it's of course in its much earlier stages. There are also other developments happening throughout the state where there are master planned communities, whether that be down in St. George, in Desert Color, or up north near Syracuse. There are a lot of these different developments happening all over the state of Utah. And I wanted to highlight one of the things that I read a lot of comments about. Some people think that as they drive into neighborhoods like Beacon Point, like Daybreak, like Desert Color down in St. George, the neighborhoods are just too perfect. They're too much like the Truman Show, for example, or too Stepford YV. So whatever it is that's got people really turned off to the fact that the neighborhoods are too perfect, I think it's kind of funny. I understand also that that's the vocal minority, because for those that actually live in these developments, as I live in Daybreak myself, there are so many pros that outweigh the cons. And if your biggest con is that the neighborhood is too perfect, well then I guess I would chalk that up as a win. But ultimately we have a handful of builders building homes right here in Beacon Point. So if you're looking to make a move here, there's not just opportunity with new construction homes, but there's resale options as well. So as we drive through Saratoga Springs and as you explore your options, not only here in Beacon Point, but other developments, reach out to us, because we have all the resources in terms of the local home builders that are offering incentives or offering different packages to get into their homes. as well as sharing those options for existing homes as well, so that you can ultimately find the best option for you. Okay, next, I wanted to talk about the homes that are actually for sale here in Beacon Point. Not just new construction homes, but as well as the existing inventory, the existing homes that are selling here as well. The homes here range from about 4,000 square feet and get up into the 52, 53, 5,400 square feet range. Now, I do believe that in future phases, there will be more townhomes and smaller single-family homes that will be introduced into this neighborhood. But right now, the median house price here is quite high because most of the homes here are significantly larger. They're on the large side. And so as this neighborhood and this development really fills out, and you buy those homes that are just a little bit smaller, it's these more expensive homes that are here now that will help elevate the prices of all the homes in the neighborhood. And I always say, as a real estate agent, you're usually better off to have the smaller home in the neighborhood as opposed to having the most outlandish home in the community. So if you're looking for a 5,000 square foot home, there are tons of 5,000 square foot homes in this development. And so you wouldn't be overbuilding. You just want to make sure that whatever home you have, you're not overbuilt for the development, because that will inevitably lead to a lower ROI if you choose to or need to sell that property down the road. But as for now, the homes here that are going in are on the larger side. And as I look around and I drive around this neighborhood, which I'm going to show you right now, you'll see for yourself how much space there is to grow, not only to the north and the south, but to the west as well. This area is growing incredibly fast. And all around this area of Saratoga Springs, there are new developments popping up all over the place. And these are bigger developments than we normally see in a lot of cities, simply because Saratoga Springs has so much available space to build. In fact, Saratoga Springs has put a moratorium in some places for building to allow for new permits because there are challenges that come with such rapid growth. Okay, so before we come toward this beautiful model home, I'll save that for the end of the video. Let's go check out this neighborhood and this community and the city. We're going to drive through Saratoga Springs as well as Beacon Point and show you everything that you need to see. Okay, so as I drive through Saratoga Springs, I'm kind of working myself backwards. I'm starting at the south end of Saratoga Springs, and right now I'm driving on Redwood Road, which is the road that runs all the way down on the west side of Utah Lake through Utah County. It also happens to be a road that runs completely all the way through Salt Lake County, all the way up close to the Salt Lake City International Airport. And it's one of the main arteries in terms of surface streets through Salt Lake County, and now it's becoming much bigger here in Utah County as well. Now, as we drive through these areas, as is the case with most of the areas that are growing really fast here in Utah, so much growth is happening. There's a golf course off to my left here, right up against Utah Lake. There are new developments, as well as some of the oldest developments in Saratoga Springs, which they're only a little over 20 years old, so it's not like they're that old anyway. But you've got Saratoga Springs, you've got Saratoga Hills, the Benches, you've got Fox Hollow, you've got to the north, the newer developments like Beacon Point and Wildflower and all of the bigger developments that are happening up north in Saratoga Springs. But this side of Saratoga Springs is continuing to grow as well. And I think that this area will eventually completely work its way all the way south on the west side of Utah Lake and down into the southern portion of Utah County. I don't know where the city limits for Saratoga Springs will be, but these neighborhoods are just becoming more and more attractive. As people can actually work from home more, it's even becoming more so the case because you don't have to commute into the city to work. So one of the biggest complaints of living right here next to the lake, further south in Saratoga Springs, is that your commute time can be impacted by an additional 10 to 15 minutes because you've got to go all the way around the lake. And another thing that I think is really fascinating is there was talks about a toll road potentially being built from Saratoga Springs all the way across Utah Lake. So building essentially a bridge all the way across Utah Lake. And so that project has not happened. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but potentially in the future, who knows? It just might solve the problem of having to drive all the way around Utah Lake and cut down on those commute times, but also impact future growth on the west side of Utah Lake as well. And in addition to a proposed toll road, there was also talks in development plans for building islands on Utah Lake where we could then build houses. This proposal was short-lived, it was nixed, it's not happening. But again, in the future, who knows? People are having some crazy ideas around Utah Lake and to get across Utah Lake as it acts as the centerpiece of Utah County. And The development and the growth is happening completely around Utah Lake. It's interesting to see what will happen in the future. Personally, I hope that they leave the lake alone. I think it's just perfect the way it is. I love looking across that lake and seeing the reflection of the Wasatch Mountains, especially when they're snow-capped in that lake. It's absolutely breathtaking, in my opinion. The greatest reasons why you might want to live in this area of Saratoga Springs. And you'll notice down here in the southern portion of Saratoga Springs, you'll see some commercial development happening, some convenience stores popping up, as well as some new elementary schools. But the growth is only going to continue southward over the coming decades. And so all of these fields that you see here today probably won't be here for too much longer. And it's this land right outside of my window here that is primed for future development, as it sits just on the southern tip of the current development that's already happened. So in the future, this is probably more land for more houses and commercial development and everything that you see happening in the northern area of Saratoga Springs as well. Okay, so as we work our way northward here along Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs, you see some neighborhoods that are 20 years old, maybe 25 years old. You also see a lot of new homes, newer developments that have taken place in the last 10 to 15 years, and you see new construction happening right now before your eyes. And so you might ask the question, well, is new construction better, or is it wiser to look for existing homes? Well, typically and historically, we've seen that you get a little bit more for your money if you buy an existing home as opposed to new construction. However, over these last couple of years, it's become far more desirable to buy new construction simply because of the incentives that home builders are offering, which is then in turn buying down interest rates. Many people are getting down into the 4s with those rate buy downs. So depending on the incentive packages that different builders are offering, you might very well get into a home with a sub 5% interest rate on new construction. Now, when you compare your monthly payment with new construction versus existing, the monthly payment and the caliber of home, the quality of home, and the newness of that home really makes new construction a really appealing product. Now, there are downsides as well, of course. Just like everything, you typically have to come out of pocket for various expenses, sometimes refrigerators, washers and dryers, blinds, window coverings, things like that. But also the landscaping and the fencing and all of those things can really add to the expense of buying a new construction home. But all in all, if you're looking to purchase a home in Saratoga Springs, about 70% of the people are buying existing homes and 30% are buying new construction. I don't know if that data is completely accurate because home builders are notorious for not reporting all of the data because they don't have to share every home sale with the local MLS, and oftentimes that data is a little bit skewed. I personally think that that data is probably a little closer to 50-50 because of the growth that we're seeing in Saratoga Springs and the massive amount of development that we're noticing throughout every part of Saratoga Springs. Now, as we move northward, we see the golf course here off to the right. We see Utah Lake right here to the east, and you have an amazing view of the Wasatch Mountains from over here because of the topography and how this particular side of the valley is elevated up above Utah Lake. And so you really get those amazing views looking out to Highland and American Fork Canyon and Mount Timpanogos and the entire Wasatch Front. And as we move north and the valley starts to open up just a little bit up here, this is where the developments really start expanding and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is where we're seeing the most growth in Saratoga Springs, right here in the valley, just to the northwest of Utah Lake. This is where we see the vast majority of the growth happening. And I think it's safe to say that the city itself has had a difficult time keeping up with the growth. In fact, there are some areas where there are lots that are able to be developed, but they're not yet able to because there's a moratorium on more development in some spots until other areas get more developed, so that the city has the infrastructure and the funds in place to be able to expand and continue growing Saratoga Springs, because eventually this entire area will fill up with homes and commercial developments and everything in between. And right here, as this area starts to open up just north of Saratoga Hills to my left and Saratoga Springs to my right, Saratoga Springs is actually one of the first developments here, and it was named after the area, Saratoga Springs. But right here to my left, coming off to the west of Redwood Road, is this development that I'm really highlighting in this video in Beacon Point. And right here at the entry of this development, you see a really large brand new middle school. You also see tons of fields and available land for future development. Some people come into these neighborhoods and they think they just look a little too perfect, a little too polished. I totally understand that, but This neighborhood in Saratoga Springs is just up and coming. The first phase is just being completed and moving into phase 2. And as we see this actually take place, it's feeling more and more like a Utah County version of Daybreak. It's going to have some of the amenities that Daybreak offers, but it also has very similar architecture, not only in the building of homes, but the development as well. It feels a lot like Daybreak. And I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to add another master planned community here in Utah County that gives that vibe that Daybreak has become so well known for. And regardless of whether or not you're on the fence or whether you like it or you hate it, I think it's really cool to drive through some of these neighborhoods and see how they're being built out and the thought that's going into them so that you can actually build a community first, where then people will want to make a home. And even though this temple is the center point of the development, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing to do around this area. And as this development continues to grow, we're likely going to notice that a lot more people are moving here for various reasons that has nothing to do with that temple. So yes, that temple was very busy during its open house after the construction was completed. And so these parking lots were quite full and there was a lot of traffic coming in and out of the area. But as we move back here into phase 2, as this neighborhood continues to expand, we see a lot of new homes being built both to the west as well as to the north of this particular main street that drives into the development. In fact, right here we have the new model home being built by Rainey Homes. And on the backside of this development, we have a major road in the Mountain View corridor. And this is the same highway that runs all the way through Salt Lake County that has been planned out to be built as a full freeway that runs all the way through Salt Lake County and down here through Saratoga Springs. So the access from this development over to Daybreak, once this highway is built out, is going to be phenomenal. You could actually live here and get to Daybreak within just a matter of minutes because of this new freeway that's coming. Now, in terms of the home builders building here, we have Cadence Homes, we have Rainey Homes, David Weekley, and Symphony Homes. I know that Symphony Homes and Cadence Homes aren't building in Daybreak, and they have a style that is their own, which I really, really like and appreciate. And I really like seeing different home builders being able to build within a development, not just one, because I think it adds to the flavor of the development as a whole. And of course, there are probably architectural standards that they have to abide to, but it really does add to the flavor of the development. And I think that's a big win for Beacon Point as well. Now, as we come north along Mountain View corridor and drive all the way through Saratoga Springs, you can see the growth happening not only to the west, but also to the east. You can see the amazing mountain views, which is why it's called Mountain View Corridor, not only in Salt Lake County, but here in Utah County. But you also have a magnificent view of Utah Lake and everything that you see here growing and happening in Saratoga Springs. Now, the other thing about Saratoga Springs that has added to the complexity of its rapid growth is that directly to the west of Saratoga Springs is another one of Utah's fastest growing cities in Eagle Mountain. So the only way that people really access Eagle Mountain is right here through Saratoga Springs. So as this new infrastructure, these new freeways are being built right now here in Saratoga Springs, it will only help and aid the traffic so that people can get out to Eagle Mountain as well. And Eagle Mountain runs right along the west side of Saratoga Springs, and for right now has really impacted the traffic going through Saratoga Springs. So I'm excited to see those things improve in the coming 18 to 48 months. Now, another thing that I think is really appealing about Saratoga Springs is it does sit up just a little bit higher above the rest of the valley, and there's a lot of rolling hills out here. And as you drive through these new developments that are being built throughout these rolling hills, there are some really cool viewpoints. There are really cool homes that have amazing views of those mountains. And I think no matter who you are, where you're moving from, it's those mountain views that take people's breath away the most. And I think anybody would be likely willing to pay more for their home if indeed they had those mountain views. Okay, so now here we are back at this model home that we started in, and we're gonna give a full tour of this property. And this is a model home built by one of my favorite home builders in the state of Utah, and that's Rainey Homes. This home has just over 5,300 square feet. It has 5 bedrooms. It has an amazing main floor with this beautiful kitchen and the layout. We're gonna give you a full tour of this property. But this is an amazing model home that is for sale right now, because this builder is building their new model home in the new phase that's being developed right now. And so this is a perfect spot if you want to get into one of the most beautiful homes in Beacon Point. Okay, and as soon as we walk into the house, we have this beautiful entryway with this amazing ceiling detail with these stained grade wood beams. And this is such a really cool little entryway. It's not massive, but it's really beautiful, and it's distinguished in that it's completely separate from the rest of the floor plan. And the other thing that I really like about this entryway is it's completely surrounded in windows. It's full of natural light, and as you can see throughout the entire home, it's painted in a white that really just is magnified by the massive number of windows that are allowing natural light to flood into this home. Now, immediately right off to your left here, off of the front entryway, we have this beautiful office. This is a large home office with double French glass doors, and it has 4 windows, again, letting tons of natural light flood into the space. Now, I suppose you could use this space for any kind of function. You could have it as a formal dining room or a formal sitting area or a library, but this is a perfect home office. And in today's world where so many people are working from home, this is a major win for this particular property. Awesome home office. And then the next thing that we notice is this beautiful staircase that leads up to the upstairs. We're going to check that out in just a moment. First, we're going to check out the main floor. But one thing that really sets apart Rainey Homes is their level of finishes. You'll notice the carpets that they select for their properties. They stay true to the same theme. In fact, I think these are Tuftex carpets. These are beautiful carpets that they put in all of their homes, and it really sets them apart in terms of their style as well as their higher level of detail in some of their finishes. And in addition to the beautiful carpet on the staircase, we have this white oak hand railing with the solid wood newel posts and the black wrought iron balusters. This is a beautiful, modern enough staircase without going to a metal finish. This is a really cool vibe that I think is going to be timeless as the decades wear on. And I personally really like that they haven't gone too modern with some of their things, because to me, it makes their homes much more timeless. All right, next, right off of the front entryway, we have this formal living space with massive 20+ foot ceilings. This is a really cool open space that, again, lets that natural light flood in, not only from the windows down here on the lower level, but these windows up high as well. This is a really cool formal living space right off of the front entry that really highlights the openness of this floor plan, which so many people are really craving right now, because these open floor plans really sell homes at a better rate than just about anything else. Now, moving on, we walk right back here. We have a coat closet right here. We also have this powder bath right here off of the front entryway and on the main floor, so that when you have visitors visiting or family, they have their restroom, and it's a little bit separated from the formal living room as well as the family room, so they can have a little privacy as well. Now, proceeding back to the back of the house, this is where we get to the fun part. This is the kitchen, the dining space, and of course the family room. And it's all pretty much open one to another, which is really cool. I think this is probably the most desirable layout for a kitchen, dining, and family room concept, which I think they've really nailed it here. Now, I want to talk about this kitchen just a little bit. This kitchen is really beautiful, and they do this in all of their homes. This has been the trend for some time with Rainey Homes. In terms of their selections, they've gone with this beautiful white oak cabinetry and these beautiful backsplashes all the way to the ceiling, as well as a much higher level of finish in terms of countertops and appliances and all of the other features that you would expect in a custom home. Now, for them, it's not custom. You can customize this home when you make selections as you're building a home, of course, but in these homes, they really highlight their level of detail and finishes in each and every home, regardless of price point. And it shows, because when I walk into a Rainey home and I see those white oak cabinets, because so many builders are still doing white shaker paint grade cabinets, these guys are doing stain grade cabinets, and they're doing a white oak that is just absolutely on point and in style. And as I see that with the quartz countertops and the wood floors and everything else, it just really screams to me that it really is their signature, because when you walk into their homes, you can feel it, you sense, oh, this is a Rainey home, because of the finishes that they're building their homes with. And just a few more details I wanted to point out in this kitchen. They have this beautiful sink here. It's a single basin. I personally like those larger single basin sinks much more than the divided sinks. And they also do their sinks as an undermount underneath the countertop, which I think is absolutely the way to go, because it's so much easier to clean up the kitchen after the fact. But they also have these 3 massive pendant lights hanging over an incredibly oversized island. You can tell when an island is oversized, not only in its width, but its depth, because they have cabinetry down below on the front side as well as the back side of this island, which makes this thing really stand out. And there's tons of space, especially the space between the island and the other portion of the kitchen. This is much wider than normal, and when you're sitting on the bar stools on the other side, there's tons of space for people to walk through And so you don't feel crammed in this floor plan, no matter how many people you have coming to visit. I think this is a great layout for entertaining as well as hosting family and any kind of gathering. And they've got this beautiful built-in refrigerator with the oven and microwave right next to it, and a beautiful dishwasher as well. This is a beautiful, well-appointed kitchen that I think pretty much anybody would walk into most of the homes in most neighborhoods, and this kitchen is going to stand out. And another thing I really like about all of Reni's homes is they do have larger pantries. Now, this home does not have the largest pantry I've seen. Many of their homes actually have butler pantries, but this is a very nice sized pantry that I think fits this size of kitchen as well. Now, walking back into the dining space, they've got this place staged with this 6-person table. However, there's plenty of space here to have an 8-person or even 10-person table here if you so choose. There's plenty of space and division between the kitchen and dining room to still allow people to flow through the house into the back of the property over here. Speaking of which, if we walk all the way to the back here, there's a nice sized mudroom, and this mudroom has some built-in cabinetry to help hide your things, but this is kind of your drop station, and it goes right back into this garage. And I think it's really deceiving on the outside of this property. This is a little messy. They've got this kind of set up as a model home, so there's some things sitting in this garage, but this is a 4-car garage. It's 2 cars wide, but it's more than 2 cars deep. So this is a really massive, oversized garage. And for those that really like garages, it's got this pop out here as well that's perfectly situated for a workbench or something like that. If you wanted to store a motorcycle over there, or you wanted a nice workbench, this is a great garage for that as well. All right, coming back into the dining space through the mudroom, we walk right back into the heart of the home. Here in the great room, separated from the kitchen and the dining room, is this beautiful, well-appointed family room. Now, this home has 9-foot ceilings throughout, so these ceilings are very tall. The cabinets go all the way to the ceiling. But here in this family room, the highlight of this family room is this beautiful fireplace. It has a precast fireplace surround with that shiplap detail on the wall that separates that fireplace from the rest of that wall, and it really pops with the white walls and the darker color. I think they nailed this family room, and it's got plenty of space for a couple of sofas as well as additional seating. This is a really cool place to hang out. And right off the dining room here, we have this beautiful large Trex deck, which is a composite decking material which lasts much longer in our harsher climates here because it can put up with the summer heat as well as the winters. So this is a really nice sized deck. This is an expensive one. It's a really nice feature that a lot of new construction homes don't have something this large. And as is the case throughout this entire home, there are tons of huge windows flooding natural light into this family room. And as I look out to the north and to the northeast, all I see is mountains. I can see Mountain Timpanogos to the east, and I can see these beautiful mountains, including the mouth to American Fork Canyon, which is one of my favorite places to recreate if you live in Saratoga Springs. Okay, so we've checked out the entire main floor, as this area, this living room, family room, kitchen, dining room, and entryway work themselves around this centerpiece, which is the staircase. And here in just a moment, we're going to go upstairs and check out the bedrooms, but most importantly, the primary bathroom and bedroom in this beautiful home. But before we do that, let's check out the basement first. In other words, I want to kind of save the best for last. But as we walk right down into the basement, the level of finishes that they finished this basement are the same as that of the upstairs. So it's not like you're stepping down in quality. It feels like you're in the exact same home. It just greatly increases the square footage of this home. And right here at the bottom of the stairs, we have this beautiful, well-appointed bathroom that matches that of the rest of the home as well. This is the main bathroom for the basement. It's the one bathroom they have down here. And just right directly next to that is what we call in Utah, pretty much every home here has one, is a cold storage room. Now these cold storage rooms are like little dungeons. These are typically built underneath the porch caps of pretty much every home that's been built in the last 20 years and maybe even longer. And these rooms can oftentimes be huge, like in this home, because this home has a huge wraparound porch. And so all of that space is not wasted. It's a massive concrete bunker in here. It's unconditioned. And many people use this for food storage or whatever you want to do. In fact, some people remove these doors and put a safe door and make that their safe or their vault to store guns or whatever else they want to store. Then right here at the bottom of the stairs, we also have a large double door closet for extra additional storage. And then we move into this other bedroom. So this house in all has 5 bedrooms, 2 of which are down here in the basement. And both of them have walk-in closets, which is nice. And they have 8-foot ceilings, which is really nice as well. And off to my left here, we have the mechanical room that's separated. And then we enter this back portion of the basement, which is the biggest open space. And before we check this part of the basement out, there's another bedroom right over here. This bedroom's a pretty good sized bedroom as well, with its own walk-in closet. And as you can see, this home is situated on a lot that slopes a little bit. And so this basement is kind of above ground towards the back of the home. Then in the biggest part of the basement, we have this huge great room. Now they've got it set up with a family room over here, and they've got a dining space over here. But what you'll really notice is they perfectly planned this basement for a full ADU or accessory dwelling unit, because they've already got the plumbing in the wall for a kitchen. You could make this a full kitchen, this could be the dining space, and then a family room with 2 bedrooms, and you could add a laundry room in that mechanical room as well. There's tons of space to accomplish a full apartment down here in the basement, and it has this really nice sized patio that sits directly underneath the deck that comes off of the main floor. So this is a really cool setup, not only for one family, but you could actually have 2 families in this home. And there's one little room I forgot to talk about. They've got an unfinished space over here right off of the great room, and this is a nice little space. I don't know what somebody would use this for, but you could finish it off. You could have a separate entrance here. This could be a salon. This could be all sorts of things depending on what you want to do with your house. You could really set this up however you'd like. Okay, so that's the basement. So now let's go check out the last floor, which is the upstairs, and check out that primary bedroom and bathroom. Okay, so as soon as we get up to the upstairs level, we have this huge hallway separated by the railing and the living room down below, which gives it that really cool open feel. People love those incredibly tall ceilings, and it makes your upstairs level feel not so separated from the main floor. And walking down to this end of the hallway, we have a nice little loft area. This sits directly above the front entry when you walk into the main floor. This is a cool little setup for a play area or a desk, or maybe a meditation space, or even a place to just hang out and have a nice little sitting area. Now this upstairs has 3 bedrooms, so off to the side here is our first bedroom, highlighted with 4 massive windows to the south and to the west, which lets that natural light flood in. Again, you'll see another walk-in closet, as every bedroom in this home has its own walk-in closet. So this is a really nice bedroom, and it's definitely bigger than most bedrooms in most new construction homes. Now moving on down the hall, back this direction, we have the second bedroom. Right here, again, same thing. This one doesn't have as many natural light. This one, instead of 4 windows, because it's not in the corner of the home, has just 2, but it still lets in a lot of natural light. And again, another walk-in closet. And sitting right next to that is the bathroom. This is the hall bathroom upstairs. It's well appointed. It matches the rest of the bathrooms in the property with the same level of finishes, with that white oak stained grade wood cabinetry, beautiful quartz countertops, and beautiful tile work. Now we're right here at the top of the stairs. We have another mechanical room. There's another furnace and AC unit up here in the upstairs level, because this home is a little larger in size. And then off to the right, we have the laundry room with another large window, allowing tons of natural light to flood in, with plenty of storage, counter space, and again, a sink. This is a really well appointed laundry room. Of course, you could do more in terms of floating shelves or cabinetry up above with a backsplash. But all in all, this is a really nice laundry room. And last but not least, we're entering the primary bedroom. This is a really nice sized bedroom with plenty of space for a king-size bed, as well as 2 oversized nightstands and a full-size dresser. And it has 5 massive windows, letting that natural light just completely flood into the space. And this is an amazing primary bedroom, not only for that reason, because of the views of the mountains right outside of each and every window in this bedroom. So this is a dream. This is an awesome, awesome primary bedroom. Now moving on from the bedroom, we walk into this space where we have 2 closets. It's a his and a her closet. I suppose you'll have to fight over who gets which, because one is a little bit bigger than the other, but there are 2 walk-in closets right off of the primary bedroom, and then it leads into the primary bathroom. And now that we're in the primary bathroom, again, there are even more windows with mountain views, with that light flooding in. You can see there's plenty of space in this bathroom with a really oversized shower that's well appointed with really quality tile work. But my favorite part about this bathroom is the double vanity with the separation between the tub and the shower, with a very large freestanding tub. This is a really deep tub, so for all the ladies out there, I know they love their tubs. Not so much for guys maybe, but for at least the ladies, this is a really, almost a dream setup, because this tub is so incredibly deep and the windows are high enough that you can still have your privacy. It's an amazing setup for a master bathroom. And then off to the one side over here, we have the water closet here that's separated from the bathroom, so you can have a little privacy there as well. But all in all, this is an amazing primary bathroom that matches perfectly along with the rest of the house, as well as that primary bedroom. Okay, so that's what you can expect from Rainy Homes out here in Beacon Point in Saratoga Springs. If you're looking for more information about living in Saratoga Springs, regardless of whether or not it's new construction or existing homes, we are here for you, and we'd love to be that real estate resource of choice. So hit us up. You can find our information down below. Let's have a conversation and make sure that you're getting all the guidance you need, whether you're buying new construction or existing. Okay, so that's enough of Saratoga Springs and Beacon Point. There are so many other developments in and around Saratoga Springs. If you are considering making the move to Utah, or perhaps you already live here and you're looking to make a move, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Please hit us up. You can find our contact information down below, as well as a link to book a call with me on a video call right in the pinned comment on this and every video. And if you're looking for more content just like this, check out this community next. And until the next video, thanks.
Hey.